This is episode 220 of the Super League pod, and this is the one where the Skype connection suffers the same lull as the players after a busy period of games. Fear not though, like we're sure the sides on the pitch will, we get it right in the end. We sail close to controversy with double headers and ball skills, we pull what we can out of a quiet news week, and we've got results, stats and your fan reviews, so get strapped in for SLP time. Now then, listeners, it's episode 220 of the Super League pod, and that special introduction for you all is because me, Mark, your usual host, is joined this week on the line from a man down under, but very much a Yorkshire man, Rich Wilkinson.
How you doing, mate? You all right?
Yeah, I've enjoyed a bank holiday weekend, made the most of it. I was late to get into chatting to you now because I'd forgot to print off the rundown. I've forgotten to do a quiz. I've been all over the show. There's loads of bits I'm noticing in the rundown I haven't written in. So,
but you had some cracking cocktails, so Facebook tells me. It looked like 2 for 1 as well, actually.
That was the whole situation. Yeah, I did a bit of 2 for 1 cocktailing on Friday night.
Sorry.
A bit more sedate, real ale day on Sunday, and recovery day in the middle. We'll catch up with you in just 1 second, Rich, but I'll let everyone know that this episode is sponsored by Rob's Toy Shop first. You can find a wide range of toys, gifts, rugby league birthday cards and more at Rob's Toy Shop on eBay. Visit stores.ebay.co.uk/Rob's Toy Shop, and on any orders over £5 you can earn 5% cash back, and also 1% of your order value will go into the SLP coffers by putting SLP discount at checkout. What we've got coming up this week is basically sod all news, unless you're interested in the Championship and League One, which we of course are. Then the coaching merry-go-round has been in full swing there. We've got I'm sad to report our lowest return of fan reviews for the season so far for this weekend's round of fixtures, although part of that I think was my mistake that I hadn't spotted some of the fixture times had changed from when we uploaded the fixture into our automatic tweeting machine at the start of the season, but we have got the excitement of double cup conversations with the 1895 Cup and the Women's Challenge Cup kicking off this weekend. So we've got plenty to talk about. But first, before we do that, Rich, this is becoming our annual annual May bank holiday catch up. So how are things down under, and how is following the game from down under this year going?
Yeah, good. Well, as you can imagine, being a hardcore Rhino fan, it's been pretty diabolical. Watching Leeds and tuning into the radio to listen to Leeds, it's kind of come full circle for me in a way that it's back to how it was when I was a kid, that you go into games not really expecting to win, and generally we don't win. So this weekend, for example, no spoilers, but when I'm waking up at 4:45 to listen to Leeds versus Salford, I'm expecting not to win, and the game is panning out as you'd expect, which it's a downheartening. But watching Super League in general, I feel there's been some good games, but I feel this year that there's a quagmire of average teams, and there's only 2 teams who are really putting it together, and that's how it feels right now. Yeah, definitely. Most teams are finding ways to let the opposition back into games and that sort of stuff. No one's really putting the foot down on the throat, other than probably only the one team at the top, and another team's doing it for just about enough of games to be clear in second. Correct,
as well.
I'll go with that.
How's with more imports going into the NRL from Super League this year, and one or two of those being particularly well regarded as the season's got into 8 rounds now in the NRL. How's Super League being looked at by the Aussie rugby league communities this year? So
yeah, over here in the NRL, the British imports this year have kind of set the competition alight, and especially Bateman. Bateman's won the hearts and minds of the commentators straight away. Basically, he's come over here with his dogged attitude and his bullish energy and effort, and I think what the Aussies can't believe, the size of him, but the performances and impact that he's delivering has just blown everybody away. But he has genuinely been the dominant force in that Sutton's come over here and he's having a genuine effort and he's put himself straight in that 17. So, with the England player Whitehead and Hodgson, they've been absolutely fantastic. And my opinion is that this may open the floodgates. I can see, St Helens maybe losing their big props to come over here, and that's how it could go, and there could be more.
Well, I think the difference before has been the people who've gone over to give it a go haven't really cracked it, whereas it feels like Ryan Sutton has gone over to give it a go. Other than Mike Cooper cracked it, but the others that have gone over to just give it a go who were just first team players, but not like top draw players. That now it's going to give them more feeling that more people can make it, and actually the conditioning in Super League, the level at the top clubs in Super League does create players who can walk straight into NRL sides.
Yeah, and that's pretty much where I'm seeing it. I'm seeing that it's not. Bateman had a reputation, and believe it or not, not a lot of them knew who he was, the commentators and such forth, even though he's playing at international level. But when you're getting people like Sutton coming over, who'll be bugger all on the cap, and they're busting into the 17, it really makes a statement about where the game's at. And we've never had any problems with forwards cracking it over here.
Yeah,
it's sort of struggled, but I can see a lot more forwards coming out and certainly delivering. Like Thompson has got to come out here. I think he's next on the radar for quite a few of the clubs. Obviously, there's rumours about Williams. I don't know whether that's paper talk or it's a done deal, but that'll be interesting to see.
Williams is gone. That's what we expect, right? So it's cool to catch up on what's happening with our boys down under and how they are making an impact. I think there's a little bit of a tinge of worry that if more star names go, then that's going to adversely affect the game over here. But we'll see how all that plays out, because it's a strange one. But we'll move on to sort of the more normal flow of things, and we do have a bit of feedback to bring from last week's show, which is from our friend Barrie McDermott, who most people might know his Twitter handle at RL Barrie Mc 10. You may have heard of him anyway. He got in touch because last week I kind of dug in a bit on why on earth Corey Aston got man of the match in the Wigan versus Castleford game, and Barry got in touch to say, enjoyable podcast as usual, lads. I picked Corey Aston for man of the match because it was an acknowledgement on his first 3 games, all in 9 days at Super League level, being a very high standard. We would normally get a chance to explain our picks, but it's a new commentary team and we're all adjusting. So thanks for getting in touch and explaining, Barry. I can't say that it changes my opinion that there was a number of blokes ahead of Corey Aston, but it does give a good insight onto it, and it was a tough game to pick the man of the match for, so that explanation does make quite a bit of sense when you've got it down in front of you. So thanks for getting in touch and clearing that up, Barry. I wonder if David Cusio, who writes for the League Express, is going to get in touch and explain why he picked a player for Wigan's man of the match this week that got pulled off with 20 minutes to go, but we'll see.
That is a big effort, though. Current league, I'm playing 3 big games in 9 days. That takes some effort. At the best of times. So.
And I think I suppose the biggest thing of that is after that 3rd game, I wasn't thinking Corey Aston, isn't a Super League player, and I wasn't really thinking, God, this is a big step up for him to do what he's done against these big blokes and having people like Joe Greenwood running at you after you've not played much Super League at all. And I think that's a measure of the way he has been performing, to be fair to young Corey. That it didn't feel like there was a notable element to his performance, because it felt like he was supposed to be in a Super League team.
Yeah, absolutely.
A couple of shout-outs we would like to mention. First of all, the fan survey. It's going really well. Thanks for everyone getting the views in on that. I think we're close to a number now where we can actually have people take note of what we're going to be saying. We're just short of 1,000 opinions effectively on that survey, so the link will be put out again on the post on social media for this episode, and please go and fill it in if you've not filled it in already, and share it around out there to get us over 1,000. I think that's a good benchmark for people to actually
that's awesome.
Good
number.
I
think that's great.
People to pay attention to. Yeah, if we're talking about individual clubs representation on it, the clubs that have not had as much interaction back, probably not hugely surprising, Catalan Dragons, the only non-English speaking club in the Super League, and Huddersfield and Salford are falling a little bit lower down the list as well than most sides. Wigan, Leeds, and surprisingly maybe Toronto Wolfpack are right at the top with the amount of fans who've given us their views on all things across the board there. So please get that fan survey filled in, like I say, in particular if you're a fan of Catalans or London or Salford or Huddersfield in particular. A couple of other clubs maybe, Warrington, a mid-ranking for how much attendance they're getting this year, so we'd like some more Warrington fans as well. I think they give a good different perspective to most of the other fans on some of the topics raised. And a couple of thank yous to Dr. Bob Phillips and Joshua Mull for their donations this week to the SLP cause. Very much appreciated. People might have seen, I put a picture up last week of the Cambridge Trojans playing kit from a couple of years ago now that they've been selling on to raise more money for themselves this year, that had the old SLP logo on the sleeve, and some of the money has gone back to the Cambridge Trojans for another couple of years of supporting what they're doing down there in Devon. So your money gets spread around the rugby league community, so thanks for the donations, as well as it helping me do the show. Brilliant. That's the opening cover. We're going to move on to what is a relatively uninspirational news section for this weekend's Super League pod. News now from around the world of rugby league, and we start in the Championship because there wasn't much out of Super League, and we start with Rochdale, who've appointed Matt Calland as their head coach on a deal until the end of the 2020 season. Calland, who's 47, had 3 spells as a player with the Hornets and is a Championship Grand Final winning coach, having steered Halifax to glory way back in 2010. So a man with some experience being brought in to replace a man who had very little experience there.
Yeah. And moving on to former international club, Hock 35 moved from Featherstone in the off-season, but suffered an injury in a charity boxing bout.
Was it a charity boxing bout, or was it a pub car park fight? That's all I want to know.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't think there's many landing spots back in the game for Gareth Hock. We'll see how his life after rugby moves on for him, possibly at this stage. Scott Grix has moved to Halifax on a season-long loan deal from Huddersfield to play for his brother Simon, who is in temporary charge at Fax.
Yeah, well, I think they've played most of the career together, and it probably makes sense at this time in their life.
Yeah, they started together, didn't they? And then spent a bit of time apart, and now it's nice for them to be reunited.
That's right, mate. Swinton have released front row Aaron Hall by Wilkinson Foley Lane. The move came after Swinton took Adam Lawton on loan from Salford earlier in the week.
Yeah, if we're talking about Aaron Hall in the news, then I've never heard of him or seen him play.
That's right.
Chris Thorman has been appointed head coach at Workington Town following the departure of Leon Price. So Chris Thorman back in the game after a bit of a spell out following his departure from Huddersfield. But I think he's looking forward to being involved there.
What did Price really do wrong? Because it seemed like things were going well for him at back end last year.
There's a couple of schools of thought, and actually it applies to some of the movements we've talked about in the Championship as well, just above that level, is basically if you're trapped in League One when the sort of carousel stops turning this time around, you might be there for a bit longer again because of the potential of more overseas teams coming in and starting at that level is kind of what the thought process is. And also you don't want to be out of the Championship when the funding distribution changes come 2021. So I think that's maybe part of the thinking. But I heard from some Cumbrian people that from the other side of things, rather than it being a Leon Price was pushed out kind of view, more that he left because he wasn't getting what he thought he was going to get in terms of being delivered with maybe a bit more players, which seems a bit strange because they do have quite quite a few names in that squad. You know, people like Fui Fui Moi Moi and Sean Penkovic